Hello, and welcome back to the last part of Marvel Ruins. Let's quickly get into it to not waste your time. Our story continues on. Philip is now on a plane with Darkholme, aka Mystique, presumably for an interview. He asks Miss Darkholme if she's okay, as her fingernails are digging into her skin. So deep, blood is trickling down and flesh is visible. Her eyes widen in distress, as suddenly Mystique's face starts to turn into a bunch of different faces as her brain implodes. Eyeballs on eyeballs, lips on her cheek, jaws forming. She doesn't even look like the woman she once was before. The cause of this incident is detailed by the men in black that carry her off the plane, saying she's a shapeshifter, and explains that over time, for her constant transformations, she was getting confused with what personality and character she was, that she developed multiple personality disorder, and that in a moment of distress, they all came out, causing her head to, like I said before, implode. But the men also say something as simple as pills would have stopped the entire incident from ever happening. Sheldon takes out his own bottle of pills and dryly swallows two desperately, screaming at himself that he should have remained professional and at least taken a picture. He is running out of time. Philip is dying, and the pills are to negate the effects of the thing he might have contracted for him to be dying in the first place. Once the plane boards and people start to get off, security try to clear the area that is filled to the brim with people. And I mean filled to the brim. In the process of this, a government official pushes a quote-unquote hippie that is revealed to be actually Magneto. But instead of his natural magnetism, he resorts to a kit degaussing device. What wasn't meant to happen was the device breaking. At first, when they push him, they think that it's a bomb under his coat. Philip, of course, not wanting to let this go to waste like Darkholme, pulls out his camera and starts to take pictures of the incident. But Magneto's magnetic kit is getting worse and worse as a result of breaking, pulling heavier things than just metal scraps, guns, and even, for example, pulling away somebody's metal glasses so roughly and tightly, it rips away flesh. Philip is unfortunately caught in the crossfire due to his ignorance of the situation and gets two fillings in his teeth forcibly taken away. It gets way out of control, killing possibly hundreds or even thousands, and even getting so dangerous it pulls a plane towards Magneto, killing him in an instant. We then time skip to what Philip thinks is Texas inside a government prison. Surprisingly, the Kingpin is there, and seems to be the only somewhat normal person in this two-part comic. Although, in this world, he's not a crime lord, so his alias Kingpin isn't used, and instead he's addressed by Wilson Fisk, his full name. When I say normal, I mean that he at least has a bit of empathy. You'll see. Anyways, back onto the comic. This is Cyclops. It seems in this world, they never figured out a way to control his eye-beam, so they instead blinded him. Honestly, seeing one of my most favorite X-Men characters being treated in such horrible conditions, as well as for the rest, is honestly heartbreaking. Seeing them in such circumstances for just being alive is extremely sad. The mutants as well here are subject to extreme beatings and unlivable conditions, so extreme that Nightcrawler eats himself. In one of the panels, Kingpin talks about one of the X-Men, Catherine Pryde, who tried to escape via going through the prison bars invisible, but ended up losing most of her intestines. Or, for example, Quicksilver, who couldn't control his intense speed, so they had to cut off his legs. Seeing all of this is just different on so many levels, and it's also a contributor to why this comic kind of sucks. And we'll explain that at the very end of this comic, but we'll just keep going. After this horrifying tour, Kingpin guides Philip out of the prison, saying that they gave them courtesy because Philip is dying. The next page is peaceful, calm, and bright, something that this world of ruins never offers. It reads,
I walk for a while, aimless, hoping to get away from the death in my mendering. I find myself by a lake, with a surface like old glass, all stillness and strange ripples. I imagined that if I dropped a stone in it, the waves it made would be perfect circles, taking easy hours to move out, eventually touching all sides of the lake. These people, these paranormal ruins of men, they were dropped on the world like a stone. Their shockwaves have touched all edges of my world.
This is the only panel of hope for Philip. It's the only place in this entire comic series with such bright colors. It genuinely makes you stop and have a break, especially with the wholesome moment with Philip and this young girl. Although this doesn't last long, as Philip would be then plunged back into the dark and depressing reality soon with the next page. Alright, We got a lot of work to do here. We have a look inside Philip's folder, and we are then shown two separate characters in need of explaining, so here we go. The first one is 4. Well, not actual 4, it's just some hobo weirdo on shrooms thinking he's 4. You can even see the hammer in his hand, and he thinks it's Mjolnir, and he even runs a cult of 4, so, good on him, I guess. The next character is Emma Frost, where she opened up a church of the next generation and legally adopted children to unlock their quote-unquote psychic abilities. But I bet she just adopts children so she can manipulate them into doing whatever she wants. You know how cults are. Besides this, there is no other known information, and that's the thing I kind of hate about this comic. There are only 2 comics, and they are both 32 pages long and introduce super interesting ideas and doesn't execute them. It's kind of like a cliffhanger if the sequel never happened, so the cliffhanger is kind of awkward.
Gotta say, it's fantastic.
I mean, we don't know anything else about Emma Frost, which kind of sucks. I mean, look up her wiki. There's literally nothing else besides that she runs a cult. Seriously. Our story continues on with Philip entering a freak show, describing it as a ugly sight where uglier people go. And I would call it the same if I saw a chick kissing the fuck out of a snake. Philip witnesses the main event of the freak show, Blaze, or Ghost Rider, and just like 616, he's a daredevil. But what isn't like 616 is his stunt. His stunt being putting gasoline on his head and going through fire. Yeah. The smell of gasoline is potent as Johnny Blaze puts gasoline on his head, coming out on the other side, his head on fire. He drives through the night for hours, screaming and screaming non-stop. Despite being a daredevil, this was not his lucky night. Philip Sheldon is then seen in an apartment. His ambition to show everyone what could have been is at an all-time high as he then dreams. I dream of Marvels. A dream where Captain America isn't a cannibal, where Iron Man isn't a serial killer, and where the Avengers weren't killed. Where they were all defending the planet from villains. Where they were admired and not seen as the what-if could been of this world. He then falls asleep. It then cuts to a picture detailing that some militiamen were arrested by the police following threatening behavior, as they were screaming racist nonsense and are also cannibals, so let's check another cannibal on top of the rest of the Marvel roster. You're probably wondering, who are these cannibals? And I'll list them off. Jack Monroe, Victor Creed, and Bucky Barnes. And yes, you heard that right, Bucky. I guess he really admired Captain America that much. Jesus, he followed in his footsteps. Philip then goes to his last interview. Ben Grimm, the man that could have been the Thing. But something went terribly wrong to make him not the Thing. He details that they were going on a trip to be the first people in space, but scientists recommended not to fly the ship as it's not ready. But Reed Richards and his everlasting ego wanted to prove the scientists wrong, that they could go on that trip and succeed earlier than expected. Reed went to Ben's house, and Ben denies to fly the ship, wanting to be safe and wait until the rocket was ready in order to drive. But Reed didn't listen, and stole the ship, getting Von Doom, yes, Von Doom, to pilot it, leading them to being near the cosmic power that would have given them their powers. But instead, it turned out way differently. That there is Mr. Fantastic. Stretched open, not even looking human anymore in terms of anatomy. Johnny was burning on the way down to Earth, so burned that you could see his bones. Susan Storm crash landed on Earth and was, of course, invisible, but a man tripped on her, revealing her body. I did some research, and yes, she is still alive, but she's heavily blind. Von Doom, though, literally a mineral. Yeah, just a mineral. A fucking atom. Ben Grimm lives with the regret that maybe if he flown the ship, he could have saved them and drove back to Earth. Although it isn't certain that he could have. New York City. Marvels. A green man, a body that stretched like rubber before rigor mortis set in. Silver spacemen and invisible women. Marvels. That's what I'll call the book. I have all the notes, all the interviews. I can write the book, and please God I can write it quickly. I wish I had time to really craft the book, make the clearest and best possible case of why the world went wrong. That weasel kid Parker stole that time from me. So hot today. Ran out of pills on the train back. Have to stop at the pharmacist later. Parker. Peter Parker. So hot. I hate New York. Wait, stop for a minute. Parker. I always hated him. Weasley kid. Had to be Parker, didn't it?
Lousy photographer. Worked freelance for the Bugle, paying for his college tuition and keeping that poisonous old aunt of his a science major know-it-all weasel. Kid messed up a college experiment. Got bitten by a spider he'd irradiated. Got infected. Rattled with a raging mutant virus. Got infectious. Visited the Bugle offices before his rash showed. Contagious little weasel.
He then trips over, succumbing to the mutant virus Peter Parker had gave him. His life's work flying out of that briefcase, watching in horror as the answer to his world's question will never truly be answered. Now, on to the rant part of this video. So if you don't want to see this, you can leave. Sounds like I'm holding you hostage, but anyway, the entire time I was reading this, I couldn't help but get invested into the story and what would happen if all my favorite characters were stuck in the quote of Murphy's Law. But yet, what is the point of Ruins? When I say get invested into the story, I specifically meant more on getting invested into the idea of Ruins. Yeah, it's cool to see characters in a different, more grim light than what Marvel's used to, but that's the entire point, and it doesn't further carry on or attempt to tell a deeper story. I remember me and my brother having a discussion about it, and he said,
"Hey there, chump. Want to see me die in a very horrific way? Read this comic. Read it.
Cap, calm down.
What?
Don't you see, Cap? This comic kind of sucks.
What? No, I die.
Yeah, you die. You're a rapist.
Have you seen the way the Hulk dies? That's pretty cool.
Cap, no it's not. You realize that would never happen in real life?
But it's a realistic
No, it's not. People say it's realistic, but it's not. Your take is ass. Go read some better comics, Cap.
I've already got some favorite comics.
Like? Exactly.
I like Darkhold.
Of course you like Darkhold.
No. It has a good story.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only edgy comic that has good story.
But wait! I've got another comic.
Let me guess, it's a newly released comic in 2019 of zombie DC characters. Did I get it right?
It's deceased.
God fucking damn it, Cap!
It's just more about shock value than actual story. Because there is no real story. There is no end goal, and I'm not saying that I want a happy ending, but I wanted something deeper than just
Iron Man kills. Oh, wait, you don't like that? Then what about Reed Richards sweatsing to death?
Just stop! You know, maybe I'm just being way too harsh in this comic. Like, there is a story, it's just not very good, or wait. So, let me get this straight. So if Peter touched Philip and he got the virus, and Philip touched the girl, telling me the girl has the virus. Fuck this comic. This comic fucking sucks. I'm never reading this shit again.